All right. Hey, how's it going? So it's been a minute since I did one of these live streams. I think the last one was let's see. Yeah, almost a week ago. I guess I did one maybe last Friday or something. That back back then, a whole week ago. Um yeah, I basically kind of worked on stuff here and there. It was more just getting some stuff solidified. And actually, when I started digging into it and looking at the WebRTC stuff, and then also looking at the socket server that I set up, I realized that the um, the library that I was using, basically WS, even though it is more, so supposedly like more efficient and all this other stuff, it doesn't seem like you can actually target the the messages to specific kind of like rooms or channels. And so I'm going to swap over WS and use socket.io for the socket server stuff. So hopefully that'll be a pretty quick swap within the Nest app. And then I'm going to try to, I think there's some more schema updates I'm going to make, and also going to get into the just like finalizing the WebRTC stuff. So essentially, when a speaker connects, them being able to then like share their host information, and then essentially anyone who ends up logging in as a guest will be able to listen to that stream, and hopefully we'll see where we get. It's like 419, 420. Not sure where we're gonna go, but we'll see where we get. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. And if you're down, ride along. And if you're working on anything, let me know. I do have I just started a jam over here on Spotify. So if you want to listen to some tunes, the tunes that I'm listening to, you can do that. I'll add those um, to the chat here. And let's see if my phone's back. It just did a software update. But yeah, so far so good. I feel like on Skylounge, I probably should have put more time on it this week, but yeah, it just ended up being a kind of a busy week. But gonna get it going now, so all in due time. Let's see, I'm not getting the link here. Let's see. There we go. All right, so I just added it to the. I guess I'll see if I can add it to the chat too. Thrilling live stream right here. Um, cool. So, I guess with that said, let's get into the jam and actually start jamming on some code. Let's see. Just gonna pull up the Stream Deck thing here so I can do some quick switching, hopefully. Make sure it's on the right network. But yeah, actually, I'm looking forward to when stream.place, which is like the at protocol focused streaming service. They're gonna it looks like they're gonna try to get a RTMP server set up. So once that's going, I'm gonna also try to stream there too, which would be cool. But let's see if this is working now. Yeah. Oop. All right. And actually, I guess earlier this week too, I didn't. Make sure we're looking at the right one. I haven't really posted about it yet, but I ended up publishing that new npm package, so you can actually find it. It's use dash Bluesky, and essentially it's just like the hooks that I've been using within starter packs, and then also that I'm going to be using here. And I actually, you can see I added it right here. So I have this like use profile. You can just basically pass in like an actor DID or a handle, and it'll request it and get all the stuff back. So that's published. I guess that's what I ended up doing kind of earlier this week. I was playing around with that and also updating some of my npm publishing standards. The README isn't fully fleshed out on that one yet, so you're gonna have to do a little source diving if you want to really dig in to see like what hooks are available and stuff. But it's a start. I just needed to get it out of my head and up, and it's usable. I think it already has like 38 downloads or something like that. So I don't know if that's just like bots testing it, installing and testing it with all these different SNCC and all these other different kind of code coverage things going on. But so yeah, so let's see here. Do we have let me just rerun the serve on here, make sure we get this up and running fresh. And then we'll see where we're at. So yeah, so if I go over here to browser view, looks like I definitely need to update those cards to be a little bit more accessible. But where we last were was essentially I have it where you can do the join, and then now it's a session has either been created or this person, I guess me, I've joined the session, so that's kind of up and working. I'd still need to get the leave to basically set the kind of like status on the member to if they joined. This is where I started thinking about like having, I think I'm gonna have to set up some event sourcing stuff, I think. But I'd really love to have it to where it's like you could see like when someone connected, when someone left, when someone connected again. Kind of this history timeline. I don't know if that just gets added as like system notifications within the chat, and that's where the history is kind of retained for some of this stuff, like maybe a little bit more ephemeral, and then the people that are in and out is a little bit I guess like more destructive, like deleted. But at the same time, I would like to have a history of like the guests who have participated in the room. So I don't really want to be like deleting guests. I kind of want to be like changing their status to left or something. I don't know. Essentially everyone who connects has an entry for that session, and then depending on the status of their thing, it that entry remains, but the status might change or something. I'm not sure. But again, that seems like an event sourcing thing that I probably should think about. But in order to get this out by May 30th, which is my like initial launch thing, I might just forego that, and I can always add those events and everything later, even though it might be a little bit more annoying. It'll be fine. But if I can get the socket stuff and the WebRTC stuff set up today, then who knows? Maybe I'll be on to working on that kind of stuff sooner than later. But here, let's go to code land. Oh, this thing's reconnecting. That's fun. I guess it's just not working. To do it the old-fashioned way. Where'd that changer go? All right, cool. All right, cool. So yeah, actually, let me go back here. So I basically need to change the socket server that I'm using. So I originally set it up to use WS, and turns out I don't think I'm going to use WS. So I'm going to check out this stuff they have here for socket stuff. I don't want serialization. I want it's not server event. I guess it's events. No, event emitter. Why can't I find? Why is it socket not taking me to the thing? I know it's a gateway. Maybe that's what it's under. Okay. Oh, WebSocket's has a top level thing. All right, cool. So I didn't, like I said, I didn't install it with the default one that they kind of lead with here. So I mean, I really wish I could get this up and running. It's so much easier to. It's just what you get for like updating your phone. Never mind. So, yeah, I guess I should go over here and just start pulling some of this stuff in. So I'm going to need this. The things I have set up right now is the events module, which I don't think is anything specific to WebSockets, but the events gateway is. So I think I'm just going to have to tweak some of the stuff here, and then I probably also have to tweak the so I have this WS adapter. I think I'm going to have to change the way that the socket server gets initialized in the main app, in the main nest file. So I'm going to bounce back over to the browser and just make sure I'm going to set this up properly. So yeah, we had the events gateway. I think all that stuff's actually pretty generic. Okay, I guess we'll check out the example. Event module. Oh, I guess there's nothing you have to do to the, huh. I guess because you configure it here. So we'll grab all this. Oh, and I guess the like type decorators or whatever are library specific, I guess. Okay. Is this back up and working? No. No. This is where it's going to put me in hard mode, trying to remember to toggle between browser and code views and make sure you all are looking at the right one. but we'll be good. We'll figure it out. So that is, oh, that's the same. We're good there. It's really just that the WebSocket gateway needs to be, sorry, what was that again? I guess that's not even specific to Socket.io. It's really just the server, which is like a type. Let's grab that while we're doing it. Cool. So, I mean, if this is all it is, that's a pretty uneventful change right there. But I'd rather have it be uneventful than an ordeal. I mean, it didn't say to do this anymore. Now, I'll end up doing some cleanup later on where I get rid of some of these libraries I'm no longer using. But I guess with that said, is this just going to connect? Oh, I think the one change is, let me just double check this real quick. With I think Socket.io might have its own kind of wrapper around some of the client stuff when you connect to it. Oh, and it could have the Redis IO adapter. Hmm. I'll just take these. I'll bring one up. Each time. All right. So, got to get the old key to the mailbox going. That's just how it goes. So yeah. So where does that Redis IO adapter come into play here? It's not referenced in the app module. Oh, okay. To use a Redis adapter. I don't think we need the Redis adapter right now. And then let's see what they got on the client side. So yeah, they import socket.io, and then it's just the connection is a little different. Okay. That's not going to quite align with what's going on here, but we'll get it working. So let me just, sorry. One confirmation on just like how they're listening to the events on the gateway. Basically same style. Subscribe message. Okay. So yeah, this is might be pretty. I guess we'll see. Could be pretty straightforward. Could not. So we have our socket ref here, which we are initializing down here. But I guess instead of this, we'll kind of do something like this, but we'll update it to be. Oops. I guess, yeah, we need the front end package. So say I thought it was just that. Cool. So add that. Does it have the IO named as the export, or is it going to be one of those import all from socket IO kind of things? Oh, IO on. Oh, I gotcha. Actually, let me take you over to browser land. I think there is a. It's been merged with socket IO monorepo. Socket IO client. Okay, so we need the client. I guess this would be helpful. So yeah, essentially the reason why I wanted to go with or I realized I need to go with socket IO is I need to be able to target the messages to specific rooms. I just don't want to be broadcasting stuff out and have everyone get every single message when it doesn't really relate to the room that they're in. You know, one I guess from like a resource management thing, but also potentially from like a privacy thing. I just, it makes sense to kind of keep this stuff a little bit more locked down. Okay, so if we have the client, which is actually, yeah, that's not going to be the, let's see. I'm actually going to go back to browser view real quick, and then I'll deal with the environment variable stuff real quick. But okay, yeah, it seems. I guess we'll see where it goes. We'll see where we end up here. Whoops. I mean, it's just going to be the exact same, I guess, as the API URL, but I guess we'll have it separate in case we ever swap that to a different service or something. Um, okay. This is going to be a different type. All right. I'm going to close that env file so I don't accidentally flip over to it. And we'll get back underway. But yeah, if anyone's jamming on some stuff, let me know. Like I kind of saying on these things, I kind of consider this almost like a co-working session. So if anyone has anything that they're also working on right now and just want to share what it is in the chat, or even if you really want to dive into it, jump on a stream or something, let me know and we can figure out what's going on. So this is going to be an instance of a socket. And hopefully that'll clear up some of this stuff, but I have a feeling, yeah, this response thing isn't. Yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure if there's. Yeah, I might not have an on open. Or it'll be more of the on kind of open callback thing. Or connect, I guess. And update the response of this. So let's see. On events, on identity, on exception, on disconnect, on open. I'm going to go back to the docs and just see what they actually had in that example. Yeah, on events, exception, disconnect, on connect. I think we already have that. So I think I just need like that on open is probably not a valid event. But I'll move this logic up here. And then that way we can double check that our socket connection is working. Let's see. Oh, yeah, open's not a thing. That's right. And I guess on Well, and this isn't send, it's emit. And it'll be a message or messages, which I'll change. And then we'll have our, so I don't think we need to do all this stuff. Okay. And then I need to go back over to see if this thing's going to connect real quick. Totally got used to using this like Stream Deck mobile app, but kind of annoying if it's not going to connect. All right, it's working now. Sometimes you just got to turn it off and turn it back on again. So we'll look at our network and then we'll see what's going on here. That's just the Webpack WebSocket. Not sure this is actually connecting. Oh, that's right. I don't have it. I have it on join now. So we have this, which is our join API call. It resolves, and then we're getting some socket.io errors. I'd say that seemed a little too easy to get ported over. Let me just like kick the kick the API server over again and see if that changes things. Why are you right clicking? Oh, I think that did it. Let's see. So the polling is coming through properly now. Did I get the message for the connect? Connected. Not sure if it replied back with a response though. Okay. Yeah. All right. So yeah, it's getting messages, I guess, and responses. All right, cool. All right, so I guess that's the that is the setup of the socket server. Now we're using socket.io. um, we're getting messages. Now I just need to actually start setting up all the other stuff. So right now I do have the peer connection being created based on the response of the sessions call. But one thing I was thinking about is for a session. Well, actually, you know what? I'll do this later. I was going to refactor it to where essentially you could almost like create like a dedicated list of speakers that like are auto promoted to speaker on like a room. But I think I need to have a think on that. Right now, essentially, the only way that you can initiate a new session is if you're the actual host of that room, which is basically the person who created the room. I think it makes sense. It will make sense in the future to allow to like have like a core group of people that any of them can essentially like initiate a session within a room. And then that would also mean that the check that I'm currently doing when you like join or leave a session will appropriately handle that. Right now, it's like it just does a check for like host. Let me see. Let me look at the code real quick. What does it do? We have our rooms service. So yeah, when you join a room, essentially tries to see if there's a current session going on. If there's not a current session and you're not the host, then it just basically boots you, which is again another thing I would change. It would be like if there's not a current session and you're not part of the session initiator one. Oh, hey, Mark. Are you doing a podcast or on like a call or anything? I was just streaming. Please edit this out. Okay. I can't edit that, but it's all good. What do you need? I was wondering, can I? If I can do what? Can I do it? What's that mean? Oh, no, let's talk about it when I come up. I'll be up in a little bit, okay? All right. Sorry, just some kid stuff. Let me just go shut the door real quick. There we go. Yeah, sorry, just some kid stuff. Figured I'd shut the door and pull up the play stream thing too, in case you want to see what songs we're playing. And actually, speaking of songs, I'm not sure if I might just skip this one. I'm just playing through my like discovery playlist right now. So we'll see what comes up. But okay, so we have so basically the logic for joining a room right now is it does a bunch of checks to see like is there a current session. If there's not a current session and you're the host, then it'll create one. And if for some reason it has an issue creating one, it'll error out. If you're not a host, it'll add you as a guest. And that's basically is it'll just essentially initializes the host as the first member of the room up here. in this like members create thing. And actually, this is the one thing I realized that I needed to kind of change is right now, the way that I was assuming it would work is that you would be passing like a WebRTC connection offer or like a peer connection offer in your join request. But I realized that that actually isn't necessary on anyone who is a guest. So I need to make sure that that's an optional thing within the schema. And I think it is. Because we have a room session member, and then yeah, we have the peer connection offer, which is an optional string. So essentially why it's optional is because yeah, only if you're actually going to be speaking do you need to actually share your connection information so that other people can connect to it. So I'm going to remove it. Well, I guess I might just remove it from all of the join requests, and then that way it's a little more consistent. And then essentially only when you kind of like enable your mic or like from like a host perspective, kind of select your mic and kind of go live, is then when we can basically update that member entry with your peer connection. And then that would also be like a consistent flow for in the event that like a guest is promoted to a speaker. So essentially they would get the request to say like, would you like to connect? They would say yes. And then it would create like a peer connection, and then they would update their member with the offer. And then similarly, if they were, for whatever reason, they wanted to leave or like no longer be eligible as a speaker, they could, I guess, kind of somehow kind of like disconnect and then set their connection offer to null or something like that. And then that would also then be broadcasted out. And that's why I wanted to update these things, because like all this kind of the joining stuff, I think, is cool to have through the API. I am thinking that the API should be the one kind of broadcasting to the appropriate rooms when someone, like when new members and stuff join or leave, and less so like basically yeah, just broadcasting to anyone within like that room. So all right. I don't know. Any thoughts? Yeah, I got someone over here on Twitch. There's a few people up on X or Twitter. Yeah, I think that makes sense. So I'm gonna have to update some of these things, like the actually start setting up some broadcasters from the API that I can set up. So it's actually a good question. I've only been doing that from the events gateway. I'll have to see how we can go about actually like passing in a WebSocket connection here and then being able to broadcast something. So yeah, I might have to go back over to like browser land. Oh, the background changed. It's getting closer to dinner time. Sun setting. Yeah, let's see here. Actually, no, I don't need it from the client side. I need it from like the node side. Yeah, the two. That's what I'm looking for. So yeah, and then I guess it's just a matter of how do I get access to outside of the events, outside of this gateway? Or do I need to make a service? Yeah, maybe I need to do like an event service and then set up some methods and then have that be referenceable via other modules and services and stuff. Kind of like the Prisma service, I guess. Let's see. Actually, forget all the stuff I need to here. Path lib slash nest slash event slash source slash lib. Oh, I forgot. That's annoying. Take two. I forgot to add event. Events. Okay. So that should add that there. And then see if I can add this to here. I don't want to subscribe to a message, but I want to be able to have like a I guess something like that. Maybe I'll make this more generic. Data. At some point I'll I'll make it better, but we'll just blindly send some data along. Let's see if this will work. All right, so we have our event service, and then we have our room service. And then I want to have an event service. I need to make sure that this is exported from it. And it's exported from the module, right? And app module should be having the events module. And then we can also now add the event service. And then be current session. Actually, be the session ID. Yeah, because we'd want all these messages to be specific to that session, even if it's more granular. So room ID might actually, I mean, it'll be fine for now, but that might get swapped out. What do they even call it? I guess they call it rooms. That's more in line with like the way Socket.io thinks about it. So, but for our case, we're going to actually be passing the session ID. And actually, we should do the external ID. Let's actually make this a little bit more unique so we know that something's happening. Cool. So refresh. We're going to join. It's going to negotiate all that stuff. Although, this is chicken and the egg right here because we're not initializing the socket server, which actually I guess is fine. I just need to set up a scenario where I can test this with like someone else joining essentially. So what would we do? Let's do a little incognito here. I guess we can connect to skylounge.social. Okay, so I'm connected to skylounge.social here. Doesn't look like I got the doesn't look like that quite worked. Oh. All right, come on. You're stuck over in incognito land. I'm over here in the other window. I'm just gonna close this one out for now since it didn't work. But there we go. So yeah, did not get a message saying that someone joined. Maybe I can start making some of this stuff a little bit more live and actually like represent the host like up here in the speakers and then also the guest, and then we can try to then start debugging the socket stuff from those other services. I mean, that would have been rad if it was if that would have worked, but I guess it makes sense. Actually, let me just kick the server again real quick. Oops. Is it not liking? Handle join click. Cannot read properties. Room to external ID. Something doesn't like something I added. Something's barking. Let's see. So it can't resolve the event service. Let's see here. Probably because I think I know what it is. I need to add it here. So I'm going to be banging my head a little bit to the song. Something about the breakdowns. All right, let's see if that. Oh, looks like that fixed it, I think. So actually, let's see here. We might end up having something back in life here. All right, so we're gonna join here. Oops. Skylounge room provider async. Join room. Oh, well, we were close. Cannot read properties of null reading 2. Okay. So that's the error we're seeing. So doesn't like something in the room service. Oh, I know what it is. Do we have this set up on we should have an external ID on the room session, I think. Yeah. So what doesn't like? It doesn't like the 2. Mm, yeah, maybe this isn't the way that this works. Attaches native WebSocket server to a given property. Which I guess I thought that that's what this was. Maybe I can do a client here and then have the WebSocket and see if that is actually the client.send. Oh, that's well, also we don't have the WebSocket thing up there. Let's see. No, I don't want gateway. Does a WebSocket come from there? Where is it coming from? Maybe we need to do. Actually, this looks. Where is WebSocket being imported from? I guess it's a generic, right? It's a generic. So we have our client. It doesn't have a two because that's specific to socket.io. So I'm gonna get rid of this. Yeah, maybe we have to do that WebSocket gateway. Decorator that marks a class as a Nest gateway that enables real-time bidirectional event-based communication between the browser and the server. Hopefully that works. I guess we'll see. All right, so it didn't bark. Now we need to do our test with another another person joining. Okay. Now I need to go back over here to the socket and see what kind of message I got. No notifications there. I think these are all just like keep alives. Yeah, I'll have to dig into this one a little bit more. It's not a deal breaker right now because really I just need to I could probably get by without having the socket update, but eventually we will want to get that working. And ideally it would, but maybe I'm just not using it right. Maybe I actually need to communicate via the gateway. Let's see. What other WebSocket stuff do I have access to here? Subscribe message, WebSocket gateway, WebSocket server. I guess let's see here. So if this exports events gateway, like maybe I don't need the service, but maybe I need the maybe I need the gateway. Let's see. I mean, I would think this would be a thing, but you never know. Events gateway. Events gateway. And then room module would also have to do the events gateway. Might have to ask someone here. Ask how do you send a message from another Nest service through the socket events gateway? Make sure your service is properly injected into the events gateway. I think it's reading my code and being like, as if I'm, but did I do it right? I guess we'll see. Did I update all the things where I was doing event service? Okay. Get back to the browser action. So just refresh, join. Still not getting. Let's see, do we have any errors? Guys, I need to remove this console. Okay. I don't know. I'll figure out I'll figure out how to basically get that sending from like another service, because I think that makes sense that you would want to initiate some of the stuff, or you would want to actually have it to where I mean, I guess the alternate approach would be if you have the events gateway. I'm pretty sure there's a I can kind of like emit or broadcast a message, I'm guessing. Um Not like a socket message, but basically like a nest like a nest event kind of thing, and then have it basically capture that and then send it through the server here, I'm guessing. So I'm just going to put a little what to do. But I can leave that wired up for now. So all right, I have that. Now I need to go back over here in the provider. So like I said, the essentially what happens is we do the room request, we get the room session back. Then I basically started to kick off and and actually I'll do all of this after the fact. Um, so really I only need to actually all this stuff will probably be in a different method. Yeah, I don't think I need the member pulse. I think I can figure out another way to do that. Well, I'll leave the comment for now. Like it might just be enough just to do this. Actually, it would just be set room session. Because all this is basically conditional off of this. Which I don't even think we need anymore. And then essentially, as soon as we have the room session, we set that, that goes down to the page. It kind of changes it into session mode. And then I can do some of this stuff in that on like another call, I think. Hmm. So essentially we join the room, we get the session. Now I need to have another method on the provider, which is essentially like join conversation or something. And we already know the room session. So essentially, if there's not a room session, it should probably throw an error. But for now, I'll just return. And then now I think we can pull in room session from our Prisma client. All right, so we should have that now. Oh, it's actually going to be a special thing. It's also going to be, yeah, room session with members. Actually, slight correction. I am going to want everyone who connects to connect to the socket server, just not necessarily initiate a peer connection and associate that with their current member. So still want that in the stream or like the join room. Which for now I'll just reverse some of this stuff. And we're not going to send the offer. And we'll have a better way of doing this. um, although again, we don't need to send this. This is definitely going to be sent via the API. I think we've already determined that. We do want to set up the connection so that they can get messages after they've joined. And then from here, we'll kick off some stuff, whether it needs to like refetch anything or listen for a new peer or whatever that kind of stuff needs to happen while you're in the room. And then this can be updated to a much smaller dependency array. And then so over here in the context, we'll have our join conversation. And we'll add that as a, and there might be some other events like where essentially, like if you request to join and then your request is approved or you are requested to join, there'll be some sort of kind of brokering of how to basically how to like get on the mic. Okay, why am I not getting this all the complete stuff? Here we go. Cool. Yeah, I think that makes sense. So now that we have the room session, it does mean that for any members that do, oh wait, we're not sending that yet. Well, no, I guess we could. We essentially will get the members and we will create for any of them that actually do have the offer, the PeerConnection offer, we will initiate that. So we actually need to store that in kind of debating on whether that's like a ref thing or a state thing. Well, actually, we can just at least set up the method that would be called if you were to, it won't be send offer, it would be answer offer, I think. Or no, it's going to be add peer connection. I'll just be add peer connection, I guess. But this would be the offer. And then on peer connection, I think we create an answer. All right, that's so we create the answer, and then we offer to receive audio, offer to receive video, and the actually, I'm gonna need to look at the I'm gonna need to look at the dice here real quick. Oops. Adds it to the set of transceivers associated with the connection. Each transceiver represents a bidirectional stream with both a RT sender and RTB receiver associated with it. I have to find that. Oh man, I didn't save it. Oh, here it is. Yeah, I found this kind of like picking a piece, picking apart this this example here and trying to like structure it into something a little bit more bite-sized. But so we have our peer, we create our connection. Get remote media stream handles remote media stream success by adding it as the remote video source. Get remote media stream. Or got remote media stream. I see. Yeah, maybe I do need to wrap these things up in a class or some sort of thing with some methods on it that I can pass around. Hmm. Yeah, that handoff gets real. Although that's all happening via the socket stuff, which makes sense, but basically if I have the answer and I have the offer, set remote description, set local description. I guess I need to get up to speed on what the ICE candidates are. So I might be able to. And then what's the con and the peer? Is it just the peer connection, I'm guessing? A peer. The con is null. It's yeah, RTC peer connection. Which is what we created here. So if I create the answer, I can also set the local description, and then I think they were doing it like this, where I could set the remote description, and that's a promise, so await that. Set the local description. So I actually think I'm going to create like a map or something to store these things in. Maybe it's like a NID peer connection. And then that way, if you already have one, you can just kind of like change the offer on it. Maybe. Yeah, something like that. And essentially, we would get the some sort of member ID. It would just basically be the kind of let And then we could do one of these dealies where do remote peer connections, that current get. If not, then we initialize it. Mm. Yeah, I feel like that might be pretty close. I don't think I'm going to get this wrapped up tonight or right now. I might jump on later and try to finalize this, but oh man, I'm over here in code land. So yeah, so I basically set up this init peer connection thing. We're going to have a member ID and then the offer that is set up. We'll see if we have a remote connection for that member. If not, we'll create one. We're just setting up these handlers for now just because that's just what autocomplete did. We're going to set the remote description for the offer. We're going to create the answer here where we're offering to receive audio. We're going to set the local description to the audio. I don't know if we're actually going to have to return this thing, but we'll see where we get there. And then we will probably have to kick off something. Actually, this might make sense to actually have in a state now that I think about it. Yeah. Since that way we can essentially yeah, I'm just trying to think of like what we're going to render because we probably are going to want to like render the audio elements for each one of these remote peer connections. I'm thinking because we need to set the source and stuff. So yeah, it might make sense to make that a state. And then we'll just kind of couple it up when we come to the actual room page, which is right here. So yeah, I need to destructure the room session, break apart both the speakers and the guests, and then either pass in the or maybe pass into the peer connection reference when I render out these cards and then have some sort of wire up there. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to play around with it. Yeah, I hope this is somewhat entertaining. Again, if y'all are working on something, let me know. I want to know what people are jamming on while they watch this. And I might do another session later just to kind of try to button this up and get who knows, maybe the first kind of real chats going on during this. But so far so good. I'd say the things that I wanted, obviously get the local and the remote peer connection stuff all sorted. I think the socket server stuff, at least I was able to get it all switched over to socket.io. Next level is going to be basically getting the events to be sent back through back to all the individual rooms that are requesting them. So I need to get that set up, which also means that I need to figure out where I need to, how I need to communicate so that the events gateway is actually going to be sending that stuff. So that's what I'll be focusing on later, but it'll probably be mostly the WebRTC connection stuff, and then just getting the basically like the remote cards of the speakers with, you know, some sort of audio feedback, like when they're talking or if they're muted and all that kind of stuff. So that's another thing too. I need to probably gonna have to have some sort of like both the peer connection offer as well as maybe muted status um on the session, the room members, the room session member, I guess. Yeah. That way, when you connect and you fetch everyone who's in there, it's like it already initializes with that, and then from there, the socket stuff will update the UI. But yeah, so I'm gonna end it there. Hopefully, this is interesting. I will probably jump on later, and yeah, hope you all are jamming on some good stuff, and see you on the next one. All right, have a great one. Later.